Something happened in Washington this morning that most XRP holders scrolled right past. You're watching Coin Crusader, and while everyone's attention is locked on a single economic report, a quieter announcement may end up mattering more for where this market goes next. XRP is holding near $1 miles, barely moving from where it sat last night. That stillness is deceptive. Beneath the surface, oil prices, a congressional notification, and a stalled piece of legislation are all pulling at the same thread, and today's inflation data is about to test whether that thread holds. Here's what actually happened. Overnight, President Trump formally notified Congress that renewed military action against Iran is underway, framing the July strikes as necessary to protect American interests. That notice does more than state a fact. It grants the administration roughly 2 more months of authority to act militarily in the PROC, without needing lawmakers to sign off again. Crude oil reacted first, spiking past $80 before settling just under that mark. Markets don't like uncertainty in energy, and this is the kind of uncertainty that ripples outward. Higher oil costs feed directly into future inflation readings, and that connection is exactly why today's timing feels loaded. But that's only one part of the story. Consider the mechanics here. If today's inflation number comes in cooler than expected, but oil is simultaneously climbing, traders face a strange contradiction. A good report today doesn't guarantee a good report next month, because rising energy costs take time to show up in the data. Markets often try to get ahead of that lag, pricing in future pain before it technically arrives. That's where XRP's relationship with broader risk sentiment becomes relevant. When capital gets nervous about inflation re-accelerating, it doesn't stay parked in speculative assets. It rotates towards safety. A sharp move in either direction on the inflation print could easily spill into how Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP trade for the rest of the week. And this is the part most people are missing. While attention is fixed on oil and inflation, regulatory momentum for crypto is quietly losing one of its strongest advocates. Patrick Witt, who has been a leading voice pushing the Clarity Act forward, is stepping away this month for a stretch of Army National Guard training. He's not gone permanently, but his absence lands at a sensitive moment, right as the bill needs consistent pressure to keep moving. At the same time, Senator Elizabeth Warren is pushing to attach ethics provisions to the bill, provisions that would restrict government officials and their families from personally profiting off crypto. Whether or not that amendment succeeds isn't really the point. The point is that the bill's supporters don't actually need her vote. They need 7 Democratic senators willing to cross over, and that math hasn't changed. Still, every added condition, every delay, every voice temporarily missing from the room shifts the odds even slightly. None of this guarantees failure, but it's a reminder that regulatory clarity for XRP isn't moving in a straight line. And anyone expecting a clean, fast resolution may be underestimating how many moving pieces are still in play. To understand why this matters for XRP specifically, it helps to zoom out. Ripple's entire institutional pitch rests on regulatory certainty. Banks and payment providers don't build long-term infrastructure on assets sitting in legal limbo. Every week the Clarity Act stalls is a week that institutional integration moves a little slower than it otherwise could. Then there's the capital rotation angle, and this one gets overlooked constantly. A meaningful amount of retail money that once sat in XRP and other crypto assets moved into the SpaceX IPO in recent weeks. That stock has already pulled back sharply from its opening highs, following a pattern seen in nearly every heavily hyped public offering before it. If that capital starts looking for a new home, crypto is a logical destination, but only if sentiment cooperates. A rough inflation print today, paired with rising oil and renewed war headlines, is not the ideal backdrop for that money to flow back in confidently. At first glance, this all seems like background noise, but layer it together and a clearer picture forms. Energy risk, war escalation, legislative uncertainty, and capital rotation are converging in the same short window, and XRP sits right in the middle of all 4 currents. None of this means panic is warranted. XRP has weathered messier weeks than this one. But it does mean today isn't just about a single number released at 8:30 in the morning. It's about whether several unrelated pressures start reinforcing each other, or quietly cancel each other out. What happens next depends on details nobody can fully predict yet. Will oil keep climbing if the conflict expands? Will the Clarity Act find enough momentum despite losing one of its key champions for a month? Will displaced IPO money actually return to crypto, or sit on the sidelines waiting for more clarity? The real story today isn't the inflation print itself. The real story is whether these separate pressures start moving together in the weeks ahead, and whether XRP holders are paying attention before that happens, not after.